All right, so let's talk about DHCP. Okay, so DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, and it is a layer 7 protocol. That means it is running in the application layer. So you can write it down actually. So it is running on application layer, right? So it is an application layer protocol. So it provides the network configurations to the client. So that's the basic idea. So if you're a client in the DHCP server environment, you can request the service from the DHCP. The DHCP will provide you few parameters. It will provide you IP address, it will provide you a subnet mask, it will provide you a default gateway, and it will provide you a domain name as well as a lease time as well. So in this DHCP protocol, we have two main roles. The first one is the DHCP server and the second one is the DHCP client. So the DHCP client will request services from the DHCP server, and the DHCP server will respond to the client with those requested services. So when it comes to this DHCP communication process, we have four main steps, right? The first one is the DHCP discover message. So this is a broadcast message. That means the client will send a broadcast message within the LAN and asking, is there a DHCP server available at the moment, right? So this message will be a broadcast. That means everyone in the network will get it, as well. That means the server will get it itself as well. So it will see this message and he's going to send a unicast message to this client. Yes, there's a DHCP server in this IP. Let's assume it is 10.0.0.1. Then the client will get that IP and request the service from the server. Can you give me IP, right? Then the server will respond with the acknowledgement message. Yes, here you go. Here's your IP, right? So we have 4 steps. That means first we'll have our discover message. This is initiated by the client, and remember this is a broadcast and initiated by the client. Okay, then we have our offer message. So this is a unicast message offered by the server. After that, we don't have broadcast messages because now we have identified the IP addresses as well. That means we can go with unicast. So then our client will again send a request message. So it is initiated by the client, and the server again give a acknowledgement message. So it is initiated by the server. So this is the 4 steps in the DHCP communication process. So what is this APIPA then? So APIPA stands for Automatic Private IP Addressing. So this is a failover mechanism when the DHCP server is not working, right? So in some scenarios, when you are sending the DHCP discovery, maybe you don't have a DHCP server in the network, or maybe you have a one, but it is down at the moment, right? If that happens, our operating system will self-assign an IP address to the computer to communicate within the local area network. That means within the LAN. So this mechanism is the APIPA, Automatic Private IP Addressing Service. So in here, this APIPA have a range from 169.254.0.0 to 169.254.255.255. So this range is actually standardized by the IANA itself. IANA means Internet Assigned Number Authority. So they have standardized that this range is actually the APIPA range. So this range will be used when we don't have a respond to our DHCP discovery message. Okay, so let's see when we are doing this in practical implementation as well. So if you don't have DHCP server in your network, then this APIPA range will be used. Okay, so let's move to packet tracer and let's see whether we can demonstrate all these things. Okay, so I'm going to open packet tracer, right? So to do this, I'm going to use a switch 2961 and I'm going to drag it and drop it here. I'll call this the FCT switch. Okay, then let's say this one is the computer lab 1 switch. Okay, CMP1. Then I'm going to click CTRL and I'm going to click PC and I'm going to drag and drop 5 computers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Then I'm going to rename these computers like A, B, C. These are not necessary. Okay, I'm just doing this for the sake of simplicity. Okay, right. Okay, then I'm going to add a server as well. Okay, so I'm going to select a server from the end devices. I'm going to end devices, we have a server, and I'm drag it and drop it here. In here, I'm going to rename the server as DHCP since this is a DHCP server. Then I'm going to go to connections. I'm going to click CTRL again, and I'm going to click the copper straight through, and I'm going to wire everything. I'm going to do the wiring. I'm going to connect everyone together using the switch. Okay. Okay, since we have a server, but it is not configured, right? Let's go to the computer A and click desktop. In here, IP configuration, we have two options. We can statically define the IP, or we can go with the dynamic approach. So in this case, I know I don't have a DHCP server, but I'm going to request IP from the DHCP server. So this computer will initiate a discovery message. If there's no response, it will use the APIPA range, right? So we can see now the APIPA range is being used. So it is 169.254.144.183. You can also see the message DHCP failed, APIPA is being used. So as I mentioned, if you don't have a DHCP server, this range will be used. So whatever the IP we received is actually falls under within this range. So it is working. So now let's configure the DHCP server and let's see whether it will work, right? So first I'll go to the DHCP server, then I'll go to the configurations. First, I'll give a IP address to my server because this is a server. That means I have to use a IP. Definitely a static IP as well. So I'm going to say 192.168.0.1. That means this is the IP address of the server, and the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Nothing else is required, and I'm going to close this part, and I'm going to go to services. Okay. By default, this server is running HTTP, but the thing is I don't want to run HTTP because my purpose is to run a DHCP service in here. So I'm going to turn off all these HTTP services, and I'm going to click DHCP in here. Okay, so by default this service is off. You can see it is off, but I'll turn it on later. So in here, our pool name is server pool. That's fine. So we have to mention the default gateway. So the default gateway should be the IP address of the server itself. So I'm going to say 192.168.0.1. Okay, then I have to mention my DNS server, so 8.8.8.8. So for this demonstration, I'm going to use this IP, okay? Then let's try to remove this IP as well later. Then I'm going to use 192.168.0.20 as my starting point. Then I'm going to mention my subnet mask, and I can save. Now you can see the maximum number of users are 236. That means 236 because I'm starting from 20. If I start from 40, it will again reduce to somewhat numbers. Now it is 216 because now I'm starting from 0.40. That means I'm not using from 0.2 to 0.39. That's why. Because one is actually used for the computer itself, so other values will be used for the client. So in this case, for this pool, I'm going to start assigning from 0.40. Okay. Then I'm going to save it, and I'm going to close this. Okay, what happened? Okay, something happened. Okay, I'm going to close it, and I'm going to go to this computer, and I'm going to IP configuration, and I'm going to move back to static and again to DHCP. Let's see what will happen. Okay, still I'm getting the APIPA range, right? That means there's a problem with the DHCP server. Still the DHCP server is not working. This is the troubleshooting process. Okay, let's go to the DHCP server. I think I forgot something. I definitely forgot something, right? Yeah, I didn't turn on the service. That's fine. So let's go here and turn on the service. I'm going to close it, and I'm going to go here again, and I'm going to go to IP configuration, go back to static and again to dynamic. Let's see whether we'll get, yes, I'm getting IP now, 192.168.0.40, and my default gateway is this. Okay, cool. So I'm going to do the same thing to this one as well. So this one might be 41, right? Yeah, 41. So I'm going to go back to here. I want to change my default gateway. Let's try to change the default gateway to 5 and save things. Okay, now it is changed, and I'm going to go here, desktop, configurations. Now I can see whether it's working. Yes, I'm getting, now my default gateway is changed, 192.168.0.5. In the previous time, I gave the default gateway IP as my server IP. Now I'm using a different IP. So if I do the same thing to here, it is not updated, you have to do it again. So that means go to static and DHCP. You can do this in the command line as well. So I'm going to check whether everyone's getting a proper DHCP IP. Okay, it's working. And for all these computers, it should work. Yes. And yes. Okay, cool. That means everything's working. So if I try to ping from this A to this E, so what's the IP of this person? It is 046. So if I try to run a ping command, 192.168.0.46, it should be successful, right? So that's how DHCP server works. So in your labs, if you have to configure DHCP server with given values, this is how you should do it. Okay. All right. So that's all for this one. Then I'll meet you in the next one.